É isso mesmo, minha gente. Estamos aqui com John Romero. Quando em toda a minha vida eu imaginei que eu ia ter a chance de falar com uma lenda dessas? John Romero, welcome to Voxel. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we're going to talk about your new game and the industry and everything. But I realized I had a chance with you here. We often see lists online saying like 10 things you didn't know about Doom and the third one's going to blow your mind. And I thought I would check some of them with you before we start to see if they are true or not, right?
Let's check it out.
Okay, so I have a few ones here, so you tell me if it's true or not, and tell me a little bit about it. So, Doom was supposed to be an aliens game, and its software even negotiated its license. Is it true?
No, it wasn't. It was we'd already started making the game, and at some point, maybe a month or two into it, 20th Century Fox offered the aliens license for us to use. We talked about it over 30 minutes and just said nope. So that was it. That was it. They just offered it and we just said no.
Oh, okay. So, see, don't believe in everything you see online. It's not true.
Especially the internet, yeah.
You were the one that came up with the name Deathmatch for the multiplayer mode.
Right.
You did?
Yeah.
You came up with the name Deathmatch?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I can't believe I'm talking to the man who did it.
That's right.
It's going to be a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I came up with the word deathmatch, yeah.
Okay. Great, and everybody's using it like ever
Everybody's
since.
been using it for decades, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It used Nerf guns as model to most of Doom's weapons.
I think just one. There was a chain gun, Nerf gun, I think. But the other ones were not Nerf guns. The other ones were like the BFG and the shotgun and chainsaw. They were all like, they were toys that we bought at the store. And with the plasma gun and the BFG, we just turned the BFG sideways and got a plasma gun out of it. And the chainsaw was a real chainsaw that we had. So yeah, I think it was only a chain gun that was an actual Nerf shooting chain gun.
And how did you put it in the game? Like, was it like with pictures or did you use it as just a reference to draw?
So we held it in front of the camera. So we had a video camera that we used to capture the monsters in the game that we created out of clay or latex and metal. And we put them on a rotating circular stage. And so we would put them on the stage and this video camera would take a picture and then we rotate the stage an eighth. We had specific markers and we just did that over and over again until we had a full rotation of each monster, and then we animate it a little bit and do it all over again for every movement. It was a nightmare.
For every movement?
For every every movement of every animation. Yeah.
Wow.
It was so much work.
A lot of work.
Yeah, and even though taking that picture, that doesn't mean we're not done. We're just barely starting because it just gives us the shape of the monster. It doesn't even give us an actually good picture of the monster. So we have to do tons of pixel editing to define what the monster looks like just for that one frame. It was a ton of work. Yeah.
Wasn't easy to be a dev in the 90s.
Oh God, yeah, or any time really. I mean.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that with you. Doom originally had a cast of 5 unique characters, each with their own abilities and storylines.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's in the Doom Bibles, which you can just do a Google Doom Bible PDF, and you'll find the Doom Bible, and you'll read the different characters' backgrounds and their information and all that stuff. And those were the original ideas that we had for characters in the game.
But in the game, they would have different abilities in game.
I think that they might have had a little bit different, run a little bit faster, and someone shot a little faster, stuff like that, or maybe it did more damage. But it was a little RPG-ish.
Yeah, I was impressed because to add such a thing is complex, right, to a game at that time. That's why I was really impressed when they...
There were a lot of RPGs out at the time anyway, and D&D had been out since 1974, so we were very fluent in RPG mechanics. The thing is that Doom was a different thing, and it didn't fit the core of the game, so we removed it.
I'm going to add an extra fact that's not written here, but I remember because I thought it was kind of funny, and I want to confirm that with you. I read that people had to break down the door to your office with an axe to get you to stop playing Doom. Is that true?
Nope.
That sounds way too much like The Shining for me.
No, I was in my office this one day, just coding. I'm just making stuff in Doom, and I go to open my door, and the handle just rotates, and it will not work on the inside. So I called up John Carmack in the next office, and I said, "Can you come try and open my door from the outside?" And he came over, and it just rotated. And I'm like, chop the door down with the axe. So he's like, all right. He grabbed his giant axe off the wall And he's like, all right, I'm outside the door, and I'm like thinking, where am I gonna stand when he does this? I need to stand up against the wall so everything's flying that way. So that's what I did. I had to stand up against the wall, and just splinters are just flying across the room until he just chopped a hole in the wall, in the door, and I could climb out of it.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then we could figure out how to take the door off the hinges and then get it out of there and replace it.
And he probably was really happy that he had to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, he needed to use this $5,000 axe that he bought. He had an $8,000 sword on the wall and a $5,000 axe on the wall.
It wasn't a proper axe, it was like a
It was
decorative?
a real axe. Oh, it was real.
But it was for decoration, or was
it was
it
for
like
decoration, but it was real. It was a real axe. You would actually use it. Yeah, it was unbelievable axe.
Kind of a good thing that it got stuck in the office, so he got to use it.
That's right. Yeah, he got to use it. He loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked it because I thought it was really funny when I read it.
There's a picture of that door with me coming through it and the rest of the team around the door in a 1994 interview with id Software.
I'm gonna look for that picture and add in the video if you find it. Okay, so now moving on to today. I know you have a new game coming up. It's Empire of Sins. And I know it's a character-based strategy game, which I'm gonna say already got me excited. I love this style of game. And it's due next year, autumn here for us in Brazil, spring for the North Hemisphere. What else can you tell us about this game?
Well, you are, the game is about 1920s Prohibition era Chicago, where you play a mob boss, and you are trying to take over the whole town. And similar to games that are like RTS style games, where you can start a game and say how big the world should be and how many other enemies you should go against. You get to choose how big Chicago should be and how many other bosses you want to go against. So you might want to say, I want a fast game. I just want one neighborhood and one other boss, and we'll just turn the AI up really high, and then just play that game, right? Or like, I'm going to play as long as possible. I'm going to start all the neighborhoods, all the bosses, well, up to, I think, 8 bosses, we're limiting it. 8 bosses, 10 neighborhoods, and AI at, max or whatever, or maybe in the middle, and just see how long it takes to go through that. And so it's like you can vary how long the game takes.
Oh, that's great.
But while you're playing the game, there's lots of things that happen during certain times during certain years, some months. Missions might pop up or events happen in time. And it's very RPG style type stuff. So your characters, your boss is hiring gangsters, and every gangster has relationships to each other. So some people might be in love, some people might hate each other, some people might have PTSD, and you put them into a bad situation and they might go off. Some people might have hair trigger tempers. You name it, these people have all kinds of issues, and you gotta worry like who with the issues is going with who to a thing, and you got to always worry about like doing something with someone else, because if they're in love with someone who's on an opposite team and they get in a combat with them, they might just leave because they're not going to shoot their lover or whatever. So the game's got all these social dynamics that you have to worry about. Not just that, but like they catch STDs by going into brothels and all kinds of stuff. So you got to worry about all kinds of crazy things. If they're in the bar too long, they turn into drunks. And you might have to get a sober drunk to sober them up and make them, a recovering alcoholic or whatever. Lots of stuff going on in the game with relationships, and on top of just trying to dominate, and you ally with other people temporarily, because the only way to win the game is to kill everyone. So your allies will be dead by the end of the game if you're going to win, right? So yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it.
But the allies are all in-game, like it's not multiplayer.
Right,
so,
it's not multiplayer.
Okay.
It's all in-game, and so the AI also allies with each other and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of diplomacy in the game.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And your studio, as I was checking out, it's relatively new, right?
It's been around since 2015. So Brenda and I started a studio in 2010, and it was called Loot Drop in the United States, and we started making social games and mobile as well. And when we decided that we were going to move to Ireland, we decided that we wanted to start a new company and not just bring Loot Drop over. Because Loot Drop would be around for 10 years now, right? Like if we kept it. But we decided that we didn't want to do that. We wanted to start a brand new company in Ireland, fresh, and just close down Loot Drop and just start it over here. So we decided to start Romero Games in Ireland and shut down Loot Drop. So it's been going for 4 years now.
And is that with the new name? Is that the first game you're launching?
No, we launched.
Because I checked online and I only saw this one.
Gunman Taco Truck. It's a game that our 9-year-old son, when he was 9, he designed this game, and we put together a team to make it. Just a little bitty team to do like game jam format to make it. But we made it, and then we did full time in 2016. It was like, we need to get this game done and get it out there. So we did. We released it on Steam, on Windows and Mac, and on iOS and Android. Put them all out there, and Apple chose it as like a game of the week kind of thing, like games we love. So it was up there on release for a week, and then we put it on the Mac store. They chose it for a week there on the Mac store. It got tons of really great reviews, and then they wanted to use Donovan in their App Store relaunch. They wanted an interview with Donovan about Gunman Taco Truck. So we did that, and then they contacted me a year after that, and they asked me, would you update Gunman Taco Truck to use iPhone X's new big display, and we'll feature it? So I'm like, yes. And then they just recently contacted us again, and it's like, we don't have a relationship with Apple. It's just like, if you take your time to make something really good, it'll get noticed somehow, So we did a really good job making Gunman Taco Truck. It's a free-to-play game on iOS. You just download it. It's on Android as well for free.
I'm going to look for it.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's a funny game. You're making tacos out of mutant monsters. You're just blowing them away and then serving them up to people.
Oh, okay. I'm going to check it out. So looking at the way games were developed in the 90s and now, do you think it evolved? Not technically, because it obviously did, but the way you manage your team, handle the project, do you think it evolved as much as the tech has?
No. Production is pretty basic. Production. People have started bringing agile methodologies into production, and it's okay. But we've made lots of games for years not doing stuff in an agile format, and you don't really need agile to make a game if you have a team that is motivated to make something. So, but we are doing agile-ish type stuff right now, but it's not like we have to, because everybody the people on our team have been making games for decades as well, so they all know. They've written engines, like they just know all the stuff. So we have an inverted pyramid at a company, like way more senior talent than junior talent. So things are extremely smooth and get done really well because everybody has done it so many times already. We use what works best for the team.
Mm-hmm. And what about crunch? That's something that has been recently being brought up again. Do you think it's really necessary, or do you think it's something that the industry just accepted as part of it and deal with it?
Well, crunch is interesting because some people love working really hard and other people just don't. If you feel that when you're working on a project that you're being forced to work when you don't want to work, that's called crunch, right? Like you expect to go out on Friday night or something, and you got a producer telling you can't leave until you whatever. If anyone tells you that you have to stay at work, you're now in crunch mode. Right, that's just no two ways about it. It doesn't even matter how long it is. If it's 5 minutes longer, they made you crunch for 5 minutes, right? So if you voluntarily are staying over because you have estimated the amount of time that you said that it would take to do something and it's taking longer, you might voluntarily just want to stay longer to get it done, right? It's like self-crunch, I guess. But like it's more of like an integrity kind of thing as well. It's like, well, I don't want to look like I'm the person who doesn't know how to schedule myself, so I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna spend extra time and stuff. So people do that, and it's not crunch because they're self-motivated to do it, and they know next time I'm gonna add X number of days because now I know that it takes me longer to do something. But we let people choose their schedules. Like, well, how long do you think it will take to do this, and then just try and stick with it. And if they can't stick with it, that's fine too, because shit happens, right? Like people get sick, people die, people have all kinds of issues that take up time, and so that's just part of your production. And so if it takes more time, then we just talk about it and figure out, does someone else need to take over that thing? And you go do your thing, and we'll figure it out and have someone else do it. But like that's the way it works. So crunch shouldn't happen. It should always be it really comes down to like, okay, there's only so much time to work on this game, and this stuff wasn't done, and it wasn't done, and it wasn't done, and it's slipping, and then there's some sick, and there's all these other issues happening. Now we only have this much time left. So what do? You don't crunch. You rescope the game. You don't put all the stuff in the game. You don't make the rest of the stuff. You stop the game, right? You like close the game down. And so you figure out how to complete the game in the amount of time, because you're time limited. If you had tons more time and money, then just keep going, right? But if you can't, you rescope the game to get it done to the time that you have. You don't crunch people. Like, it's horrible, So yeah, crunch is just involuntarily having it to be made to work, And if you do work really late, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not gonna, people don't make great things if they don't spend tons of time doing it. If you're gonna make something that no one's ever seen in the world, you are working passionately, and that takes time. And some people don't want to do that because that's not something that they're interested in. Yep. But other people, they're inventors, and they're dreamers, and they want things to happen, and it takes a shitload of time to make that happen.
Yeah, and now you're saying about like making new things and innovating. What do you see doing it today in games? Studios, people, they're like innovating.
There's a ton of it, and most of it happens in the indie world. The indies are the ones driving innovation in the industry. They're the ones who take chances, because they're not going to lose a house. They're not. They're the big companies that are working on franchises. Those franchises are big because of how those franchises work and how they're designed. So you keep making those franchises. You design to the franchise. You don't like throw wacky stuff in there that people hate, and now your franchise is dead.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why they kind of sequels are what sequels are. You know what I mean? But to see really brand new stuff, you go look at the indie world. Go look at the stuff that's being published all over the place. The early access games, and go to any show like this and go look at the indie sections. Go pay attention to who's being nominated and awarded, because they've done some really cool stuff. And all those little ideas percolate into the mainstream. Those will eventually hit the mainstream AAA games because they were such good ideas.
Right. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your
experience.
Yeah, experience. Thank you. Lots of word. Experience in the market and the industry. Thank you so much for being here with us, and hope you enjoy BGS and hope you enjoy Brazil.
All right, thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Awesome. É isso aí, pessoal. E se vê com mais cobertura da BGS.